Relax now and feel the gentle world around you. Our story today sets sail at the edge of a forgotten forest, where the alchemist's sleepy hourglass stands. Relax your body. Let your shoulders fall. Breathe in and out. Close your eyes or let them drift shut as you follow my words. Imagine a twilight sky woven from lavender and soot. A warm breeze whispers through amber leaves, carrying faint hints of pine and ancient stone. You're walking along a moss-carpeted path, each step soft as pillow dust, each breath deeper and calmer. In the distance, you see a cottage of warm, honeyed light. Its timbers glow, and smoke curls from a chimney, promising a hearth's gentle crackle. As you approach, notice the soft sanding of wood and the hushed tick of an old hourglass. The alchemist's sleepy hourglass, set atop a polished table by the door. It holds golden sand that trickles so slowly it feels like time is sighing. With each grain that falls, you feel more peaceful. Your mind grows quieter. Leave all your daytime thinking behind. Here, there is only this serene moment. Take a breath, and out. Allow the warmth of the heart to wrap around your shoulders. A quiet comfort that melts tension. Listen as embers murmur, and wind hums through the eaves. Feel your arms drift at your sides, heavy and relaxed. Your legs soften, like velvet cushions. The alchemist's soft humming drifts through the room. Soothing hypnotica lullaby, woven of time itself. And with each breath, with each gentle tick of the hourglass, you drift deeper. Our story today begins on the edge of a map that no longer exists. He wasn't the kind who turned metals to gold. No. Oren worked with something far rarer. There, nestled between dream and dusk, lived an alchemist named Oren Time. It was said that anyone who watched the hourglass would find themselves gently pulled into the most restful sleep of their lives. But not the kind on clocks. Oren crafted moments. Those warm, lingering seconds before a smile. The hush before sleep. The deep breath before a dream begins. His most prized creation sat quietly in the middle of his round, oak-scented cottage. The sleepy hourglass. It didn't just mark time. It slowed it, filled with jars of silver twilight, bottled sighs, and folded pieces of silence. Eyes closed, hands resting on a book of dreams written in golden ink. Thick golden dust slipped down its slender waist, each grain a whisper of slumber. Let's step inside his cottage now. The wooden floor creaks softly underfoot, not loud, just a gentle reminder that the world here is slow and kind. A fire crackles. The scent of cinnamon bark and sleepy herbs fills the air. You notice shelves lining the curved walls. Everything in this place invites you to rest. On a soft velvet chair by the fire sits Oren himself. She was searching for the reason she couldn't sleep. And as the golden sand falls, he begins to speak, not with his voice, but with his story. A story for you. A story meant to help you sleep. She tried counting them 1, 2, 3, but they stayed still, and so did she. It begins in the Valley of Still Stars, a land where stars don't shoot or blink but gently hover in the night sky, holding perfectly still as though listening. There, a young girl named Leora wandered quietly each night. She wasn't lost. She was searching, not for treasure or people or anything that could be held. Each night, her eyes stayed wide, while the stars blinked soft and slow above her. Leaves above her whispered bedtime stories in languages only trees understand. Until one night, she heard the faintest tick. ... Not a scary sound. No, it was soothing, like the sound of a clock in a cozy old house, or the soft tap of rain on a roof tick. It was coming from the forest at the edge of the valley, a forest no one had entered in 100 years. But Leora followed the sound anyway, guided by something deep in her chest. Something quiet and certain. Each step forward felt softer than the last. The grass beneath her feet felt like thick blankets. And as she walked, the tick grew louder, never fast, always steady. She passed glowing mushrooms and sleepy owls, perched like shadows in the trees. She reached a clearing in the center, a small cottage glowing like a memory. Oren's cottage. Leora stood still at the edge of the clearing, her breath catching not from fear, but wonder. The cottage looked like something out of an old lullaby. A roof dusted with moonlight, windows glowing amber, and from within, the sound of the ticking hourglass, syncing perfectly with the slow, steady beat of a heart. Tick. The door creaked open, not loudly, but gently, as if it had been waiting for her for many nights. Oren looked up from his chair. His eyes were deep pools of starlight, kind and ancient. He didn't speak at first. He simply smiled and nodded to the chair across from him, a velvet seat that seemed to shape itself to her presence, warming as she sat. "I've been expecting you," Oren said softly, his voice smooth as a lullaby. "You carry too many restless thoughts, little one." Leora blinked slowly, as if hearing a truth her heart already knew. "I can't sleep," she whispered, "not even when I try. Trying is the loudest thing you can do in the land of sleep." Oren replied, pouring a cup of tea that smelled like honey, quiet lakes, and soft pillows. "Let me show you a story," he said, placing the sleepy hourglass between them. He flipped it, and as the first golden grains began to fall, something changed. The world tilted softly. Time slowed. The room melted away like mist, and suddenly Leora was in the story. She stood now on the soft sands of the dreaming dunes of desert where sleep walked, and every footprint shimmered with moonlight. Above her, the stars pulsed in slow, loving rhythms. Beside her walked a creature made of clouds and feathers. It had no name, but its eyes were like closed doors. "You are on the path to sleep," the creature said, voice like wind through feathers. "Each step you take," it continued, "leads you deeper into rest." And so they walked. 1 step, 2 steps, 3. Leora's feet sank gently into the cool sand, and with each step, her worries melted. They dripped from her shoulders like water from a sponge, soaking into the earth behind her. The creature led her to a tall silver dune. At the top, a tree stood twisted and ancient, its leaves soft as feathers, glowing gently. "It's time," the creature whispered, "to give your thoughts to the tree." Leora touched its bark. It hummed like a lullaby in her fingers. She closed her eyes and let her thoughts drift upward like lanterns. One by one, each thought rose. Worries about tomorrow, memories of sunset, fears that didn't belong in dreams, all floated upward into the tree, where the leaves absorbed them like dew. The tree shimmered and suddenly burst into thousands of feathers. They floated down slowly, covering the dunes, softening everything. Leora sank into them, sighing deeply. Her body relaxed, her mind stilled, and the dream deepened. Back in the cottage, Oren nodded. The hourglass ticked gently. "She's begun the descent," he whispered, and the golden grains kept falling. Ticked. Leora lay nestled in the bed of feathers, her breath gentle. Even the stars above her no longer shimmered with urgency. They pulsed with calm, like a distant heartbeat, keeping time with the hourglass. The creature, part cloud, part dream, curled beside her. It did not speak, only watched her with eyes closed halfway, as though it too was drifting into sleep. But Leora, though still and soft, was not yet fully asleep. Her spirit was quiet, yes, but not surrendered. She turned to the creature and whispered, "Is there more?" The creature's voice was a breeze brushing over quiet dunes. "There is always more. Sleep is a path, not a place, and your feet have more to wander." It rose and gently brushed the feathers away with its cloudy tail. And suddenly, they were no longer on dunes. They were aboard a small boat vessel made of driftwood and starlight, floating down a slow-moving river called the Murmuring Vale. They whispered. Each ripple was a wordless hum, a lullaby. Here, the waters didn't crash or rush. Leora dipped her hand into the river and felt something strange. Her own thought flowing past her fingertips. Small memories, tiny anxieties, old laughter, even forgotten dreams. All of them drifted down this river, dissolving into gentle mist the farther they floated. "Let it go, and you will sleep more deeply." The creature leaned close, whispering, "This river carries what your mind no longer needs." So Leora sat back in the boat, her body swaying gently with the rhythm of the river. She let her eyes drift closed and began to let go. First, she'll let go of the echoing questions from the day. What if I don't finish in time? What did they mean when they said that? Why do I feel this way? The river accepted each question with a gentle sigh. Then she let go of the tightness in her shoulders, the heaviness in her legs, and the fog that had lingered behind her eyes all week. Each breath now was slower, deeper, easier. The boat glided around a bend, revealing a wide stretch of river, where lantern whales swam, creatures of light and warmth, moving just beneath the surface. Each time they surfaced, their breath glowed with soft golden light, and the air shimmered with comfort. One swam alongside Leora's boat, its eye looking up at her commandless, knowing, "You are nearing the third door," said the creature beside her. "The door of surrender." Leora nodded. "I'm ready." Suddenly, the boat reached a stone shore, where a staircase spiraled downward, not up. The steps were wide, carved from moonstone, and soft moss grew between each one. Leora stepped from the boat, barefoot, and began to walk down. Each step felt like a sigh, each stone a cradle. With every downward step, her thoughts slowed, her mind grew quieter. The world narrowed to just this moment, this breath, this softness. You only feel, and then you rest. And when she reached the final step, there stood a wooden archway, vines wrapping around it, cradling little glowing flowers. It was the third door, the door of surrender. The creature looked at her one last time. "Beyond this door," it said. "You do not think." Leora reached out, her fingers brushing the wood. It opened without sound. Beyond it, nothing, but not an empty nothing. A full, comforting, sacred nothing, like the weight of a mother's embrace, like the hush of snow falling on deep forest. A soft darkness cradled her. She stepped in, and the door closed slowly behind her. Back in the cottage, Oren smiled. The hourglass, now nearly empty. "Almost there," he murmured. Tick. Inside the sacred nothingness, Leora didn't fall. She floated, her body no longer bound by gravity or worry. There was no up, no down, just a gentle sense of being held by something invisible, but kind. A sensation like swaying in a hammock woven from wind. She drifted deeper, eyes closed, not because she chose to, but because they had grown too relaxed to stay open. Around her, small lights began to appear, firefly-like flickers, pulsing in harmony with her breathing. In, out, each breath a soft tide, each flicker a dream waiting to be born. And then, from the velvet void, a voice began to hum. It wasn't Oren. It wasn't the creature. It was her own voice, or maybe her spirit's, humming a melody that had no beginning and no end. She didn't need words anymore. She had let go of language, and all the little edges that kept her mind alert. She was now just feeling, just floating, somewhere far above her. The sleepy hourglass dropped its final few grains of golden dust. Back in the cottage, Oren's eyes remained closed. His breathing synced to hers, even though she was no longer sitting before him. He whispered, not with sound, but with thought. "She has entered the sleep realm. The true sleep, the kind that heals." He stood slowly and turned the hourglass once more. Another story awakened. And as the sand began to fall again, because while Leora slept, her dreams continued to weave themselves, in the shape of a forest where trees whispered names, in the form of a sea where waves rocked her deeper into slumber, in a valley where pillows grew on vines and clouds dropped tiny kisses onto her cheeks. Meanwhile, Oren walked outside, into the moon-dusted night. The wind was soft, full of quiet music, a kind made by fluttering leaves and distant waterfalls. He walked to the edge of the forest, where the dreamers passed those who came each night in search of stillness. He placed the hourglass on a stone pedestal beneath an old willow tree, and he whispered to the wind, "Let the next one find peace." Then he turned and vanished into the shadows. his robe blending with the dark. But the hourglass remained, its magic now open to anyone who came looking for it. Now, let your body feel the softness of the feather dunes. Let your breath flow with a murmuring veil. Let go, like Leora at the third door. Sink into the sacred dark. Float. There's nothing left to do. Nowhere left to go. Only this moment, this stillness, this breath. In, out. Sleep, dear dreamer. You are safe. You are whole. You are home.